The Massillon Tiger Football Museum proudly presents an historic Tiger game film that was made possible by the Cleveland Catherdral Latin Alumni Association. It was recorded on Friday, September 17 at Massillon's Tiger Stadium as 16,000 fans watched first-year head coach Chuck Mather of Massillon and second-year head coach August Basu of Latin lead their teams into battle in the opening games of the 1948 season. During pregame warm-ups, Latin quarterback John Wise, number 66, and his fullback John Nizer, number 79, practiced field goal kicking. The holder, number 75, is Tom Marco. Drum Major Robert Mang, along with his 6 majorettes, lead the 64-piece Tiger Swing Band onto the field for pregame activities. Then the drum major of the Cathedral Latin Marching Band brings his 44-piece musical organization onto the field. Both bands march to the north end of the field where they mesh to play the national anthem during the flag-raising ceremony. Team captains Joe Glowick, number 22 of Latin, and Al Brown, number 12 of Massillon, meet with the game officials for the pregame coin toss. Quarterback John Weiss, number 66, kicks off for the Latin Lions, and Jack Houston, number 32, gets a nice return back to his 42.5-yard line. The Tigers' first play from scrimmage is a 7.5-yard run to the 50-yard line by Al Brown, number 12, from his fullback position after a pitch out from quarterback Jack Hill. On second down, Irvin Crable breaks free of an arm tackle and leg tackle as he scampers up the middle. The sophomore then heads towards the goal line with number 66, John Wise, and number 88, Gerald Mullen, in hot pursuit. The 50-yard run and missed PAT kick by Clarence Johnson, number 45, keeps the score at 6-0 after a 2-play, 57.5-yard drive. Massillon almost gets a touchdown on the kickoff by Johnson when number 79, John Nizer, almost let the free ball lay in the end zone. He rushed to pick it up and tried to run somewhere, but either fumbled or tripped as 4 Tigers pounced on him. For some reason, it looks like a second kickoff occurred, but there is no mention of this in the newspaper. Latin's first series starts on their 20, and number 88, Gerald Mullen, gets 5 yards up the middle. Quarterback John Wise, number 66, pauses behind his center Joe Glowick, number 22, to look over the defense. Then right halfback Val M. Marino, number 84, goes in motion, but fullback John Nizer, number 79, gets stopped for a 1-yard loss. It's now 3rd and 6 on Latin's 24, and fullback Nizer gets the call again, but Joe Jones, number 43, makes a solo tackle to hold him to a 3-yard gain. With 3 yards to go on 4th down, quarterback Wise gets off a 45-yard punt. Irvin Crable picks up the bouncing ball, heads to his left, and gets tackled out of bounds at the Massillon 40. However, a 5-yard penalty on the Tigers before this punt snap allowed the Lions to keep the ball. From the Latin 32 on 1st down, Gerald Mullen goes in motion, then right halfback I. Marino, number 84, runs 8 yards up the middle with a shoestring tackle by Clarence Johnson. The second down play is not on film, but here we see the officials measuring to see if Latin got over their 42-yard line for a 1st down. The 1st down was acquired, and the ball now resides on the Latin 42.5-yard line. Right half I. Marino is sent into motion, then left half Gerald Mullen, number 88, heads up the middle to the 46 for a 3.5-yard gain. On second down, fullback John Nizer, number 79, skirts the left side of his offensive line and 15 yards later gets shoved out of bounds at the Tigers' 39 for another Latin 1st down. The motion man on the 8th play of this drive is Mullen, with I. Marino taking the ball through right guard for 4 yards and a solo cowboy bulldog-like tackle by Clarence Johnson at the Tigers' 35. The Latin coaches must have liked the last play, so they run it again with the same Tiger making another solo tackle. It's now 3rd and 2 on the Tigers' 31, and fullback Nizer, number 79, sees a hole at his right tackle, but loses his balance while leaping through the arms of Tiger defender number 44 and landing on the 25-yard line for another 1st down. Mullen, number 88, is sent into motion, then I. Marino, number 84, sprints through right guard, but is quickly met head-on by Clarence Johnson at the Tiger 23. With 2nd and 8, John McVeigh, number 27, gets his arms around the quarterback's leg so quickly that he misses the handoff for a 4-yard loss back to the 27. That loss makes it 3rd and 12, which forces John Wise, number 66, to go to the air, but the ball just misses the outstretched hands of his open receiver, right end Bob Lambert, number 55, around the 3-yard line. It should be 4th and 12, but notice that the line of scrimmage is the 25 instead of the 27. Nevertheless, a pass to Gerald Mullen, number 88, is incomplete, and the Tigers take over on their 25. The Tigers' second series starts with this 14-yard run by Crable to his 39-yard line. Captain Al Brown, number 12, takes a pitch back, then heads around his left end, but sharply cuts back across the middle to the west sidelines, where Clarence Johnson puts a devastating block on number 57, Charles Putka, to clear the way to the goal line. Again, the PAT kick is no good, and the scoreboard reads Massillon 12, Latin 0. That makes it 2 touchdowns and 4 plays from scrimmage that had the 16,000 fans buzzing with excitement as the kickoff went into the end zone, where John Nizer, number 79, picked it up and headed upfield, where he ran into a Tiger tackler at his 19-yard line. On first down, Wise fakes to the left halfback, then gives the ball to fullback John Nizer, but he quickly gets stopped because his left guard, number 34, Bob Maruna, gets shoved back into the hole where he wanted to run through. On second down, Ian Marino gets about 3.5 yards through right guard. On third down, fullback Nizer takes a pitch out and tries to get yardage around his left end, but number 17 and John McVeigh, number 27, are there to meet him at the 25. Latin still needs 4 yards on fourth down, so they decide to punt, but there is no return as the ball goes out of bounds on the east sidelines around the 44-yard line, a 30-yard punt. Massillon starts their third series of downs 55.5 yards from the goal line, but on a double handoff reverse, Hill to Johnson to Crable, it only takes 1 play to get there, and number 77, John Jasko, and number 88, Gerald Mullen, are the only Latin defenders that come close to catching the speedy Crable. Jack Hill takes the snap, and Clarence Johnson kicks the PAT as the scoreboard now reads Massillon 19, Latin 0. Johnson then kicks off to number 84, Val Iamarino, at the 7, and his 15-yard return puts the ball at the Latin 22. They start their third series of downs with a handoff to right halfback Iamarino, but a hard tackle by number 40, Jerry Krischer, jars the ball loose into the air, and number 32, Jack Houston, grabs it for a 19-yard touchdown run. The PAT kick is blocked by number 47, Ed Cooney, but the Tigers have scored 4 times on only 5 offensive plays from scrimmage to make it 25-0. Charles Putka, number 57, picks up the bouncing Massillon kickoff and gets a 4-yard return to the Latin 18 as the first quarter comes to an end. The Lions of Latin start their 4th series of the game with a 12-yard run by fullback Nizer around his left end, with Crable, number 28, making the tackle at the east sidelines. It looks like a scramble for a fumble, but Latin gets to keep the ball. From the 30, Ian Marino is sent through right guard for a gain of 2 yards. Then we see the end of an incomplete pass to left end Charles Putka, number 57. Fullback John Nizer on 3rd and 8 takes a pitch out from Wise and finds some running room around his right end for a gain of 10.5 yards for a first down at the Latin 42.5-yard line. On the 5th play of this 4th series, Mullen loses control of the handoff from Wise with the ball bouncing forward to the 50, where Jim Reichenball, number 47, jumps on it. For some reason, the ball is given back to Latin, but at their 46. That's a gain of 4 yards on a fumble. Linebacker Bill Morrow, number 22, meets fullback Nizer in the backfield to give Latin a 4-yard loss on the second down play that moves the ball back to the 42. Nizer takes a pitch out on 3rd down and tries to get around his right end, but this time Eddie Bush, number 16, cuts him down for a 5-yard loss. From punt formation on 4th and 15, quarterback Wise fakes it, then tosses an incomplete pass, and it's Massillon's ball at the Latin 37. But on their first play, right tackle Mike Takis, number 41, gets a 5-yard penalty for Massillon as Johnson gains 4 yards around left end. That makes it 1st and 15, so Hill drops back and finds Irvin Crable on a pass that quickly gets the Tigers back to the 37. Hill then throws an incomplete pass just as the cameraman runs out of film, but he reloads just in time to catch Al Brown, number 12, running up the middle to put the ball on the Latin 34. That makes it 4th and 7, and with good protection, Hill fires a touchdown pass to left end Ben Roderick, number 33. But the game officials nullify the play on what looks like a double penalty. Defensive pass interference on Joe Presuto, number 87, and motion on Roderick before the snap. The ball stays at the 37, and it's still 4th and 7. Jack Hill then tries another pass, but it's incomplete, so the Lions of Latin take over at their 37 to start their 5th series of the game. On the first play, the fullback has to jump over Jerry Krisher, number 40, who was blocked to the ground, but gets tackled by Clarence Johnson and Don James at the 40. On 2nd and 4, John Wise hits left end Bob Jarzemba, number 52, with a 19-yard pass, and he continues downfield before Don James, number 14, and number 17 catch up with him, with number 17 making the tackle. That 49-yard pass play makes it 1st and 10 at the Tigers' 11, and fullback John Nizer makes it look easy on this TD run around his left end. Tom Markle, number 75, holds the ball for John Wise, but the PAT kick is blocked by number 43, Joe Jones. The scoreboard reads Massillon 25, Latin 6, as Clarence Johnson takes the kickoff from John Wise and returns it 20 yards to the 43. Massillon starts their 5th series of the game with a 10-yard run around right end by number 16, Eddie Bush. On the second play, Clarence Johnson runs into a host of tacklers on a run up the middle for 2 yards. On the third play, Hill's pass to Ben Roderick is intercepted at the 16 by Joe Presuto, number 87. Then he pulls his leg free from Ben's grasp and runs 7 yards to the 23. Latin starts their 6th series of the game with a pitchback to fullback John Nizer, and his speed and good blocking get him 12.5 yards around the right side of the Massillon defense. From the Latin 35, right half, Iamarino tries the middle of the line but runs into Clarence Johnson at the 37. On 2nd and 8, Joe Jones, number 43, spots the pitch out to the fullback Nizer and quickly comes up to throw him for a 2-yard loss. As Mullen goes in motion, right linebacker Bill Morrow, number 22, steps up as if to blitz, and he does as Wise steps back and overthrows a pass to number 55, Bob Lambert. It's 4th and 10 now, and Wise drops back to try another pass, but he gets chased out of the pocket. On the run, he spots number 55 again, but Lambert just can't hold on to the ball. The turnover on downs gives Massillon good field position, but they stop Johnson at the line on the first play for no gain. On 2nd down from the 36, Jack Hill has to cover a fumbled pitch out to Al Brown, but a penalty moves the ball to the 31. It's now 2nd and 5, and Hill drops straight back to toss an incomplete pass to right end Jack Houston, number 32, just as the cameraman runs out of film. More film is loaded in time to just catch Al Brown being tackled at the 29. A penalty must have moved the ball back to the 36 because that's where this double handoff, Hill to Cravel to Johnson, starts as we watch Johnson roll out around his left end and dash untouched down the west sideline for another Massillon touchdown. Al Brown kicks the PAT to make the score 32-6 as we just catch the end of the kickoff. It's the 7th series for Latin, and Ben Roderick, number 33, almost gets the handoff himself as he shoves the quarterback into the fullback Nizer, forcing him to run a long distance just to get back to the line of scrimmage where he is surrounded by 9 Massillon defenders. Latin needs to reach the 40 for a first down, but the 2nd down pass gets picked off by number 12, Al Brown, and only Richard Ziegler, number 33, the right guard, stops him from reaching the goal line. Again, Massillon gets good field position to start their 7th series, and they waste no time as left halfback Eddie Bush, number 16, takes a Statue of Liberty handoff from quarterback number 14, Don James, and races around right end for a 16-yard touchdown that is called back for a motion penalty on the left end, number 21, Don Slicker. It's 1st and 15 now from the Latin 21. James takes the snap, drops back to pass, then gets hit by Bob Jarzemba, number 52, just as he tries to throw the ball. Jack Hill, number 11, comes back in on 2nd and 15. He rolls out to his right and just gets a pass off to right halfback Dick Shine, number 10, in the end zone for a 21-yard touchdown. The scoreboard reads Massillon 38, Catherdral Latin 6, and it stays that way after Jack Hill's PAT kick is blocked. The kickoff by Jerry Krischer, number 40, goes into the end zone, but John Nizer, number 79, still tries a return and gets upfield before being pushed out of bounds at the Latin 27. John Wise starts off the Latin 8th series with a pass play, but hard-charging Bill Paul, number 37, disrupts his attempt to get it off. On second down, the same thing happens, but this time the ball goes far enough for Jack Hill to intercept it and get back to the 20 just as the first half ends. After 2 quarters of play, it's the Massillon Tigers 38 and the Catherdral Latin Lions 6. The Latin marching band takes the field first at halftime, and much of their show is dedicated to greeting the Massillon fans by spelling hello with their hats and forming a Massillon M. This season-opening game is the 9th meeting between these two perennial state powers that began in 1939 when Latin, under head coach Herb Isley, brought his squad to Massillon for a season-opening game. A capacity crowd of 15,000 attending that game witnessed dedication ceremonies prior to the kickoff in Massillon's newly built Tiger Stadium. Latin was overpowered 40-13, giving Coach Paul Brown 48 wins and 1 tie in 51 games. The Tiger Swing Band now takes the field using an opening routine that became a long-time tradition. It was designed by the originator of the swing band, George Bird, in 1938, and used by all future Tiger band directors. It starts with a fanfare, a march upfield playing Fall in Line, a stop at midfield to salute the visiting fans, a continued march upfield playing Tiger Rag, and then a Tiger Rag dance at the north end of the field. A fan favorite is next when they go into the company front formation and march downfield in a single line that stretches to each sideline to the tune of Carry On for Massillon. Now the swing band is ready to perform the main theme portion of their show. For this game it is called Drums in Review. The show was designed by third-year director Orrin Ford, who replaced George Bird in 1946 when he left to become the entertainment director for the Cleveland Browns. Ken Hartwick of the Massillon newspaper praised the band with some of these comments. Wearing its snappy new uniforms, it gave a flawless performance of its colorful and tuneful show. The intricate maneuvers in the early part of the show bespoke of the many hours spent in preparation. It was the swing finale which won the most acclaim, however. It highlighted Obie and his oversized drum, on which majorettes did a spirited tap dance along with a black light dance by all the majorettes and the drum major. Massillon kicks off to start the second half, but it goes out of bounds about the 15-yard line. A penalty on Latin must have forced a second kickoff because notice the second one is from the 45-yard line. This time John Nizer takes the ball at his 6 and wiggles his way upfield 23 yards before going out of bounds along the west sidelines. Latin's first series of the second half, their 9th of the game, starts at the 29. Ian Marino goes into motion. Then Nizer gets hit by Jack Houston, number 32, in the backfield, causing a fumble. And Art James, number 44, chases the ball down for the Tigers at the Latin 18. The center snap to Jack Hill on Massillon's first play is fumbled, but someone under the pile of bodies wearing a Tiger jersey has the ball. On 2nd and 10 of this 8th series, Al Brown breaks a tackle to get around his left end and upfield for 6 yards. On 3rd and 4, Clarence Johnson runs 9 yards up the middle to the 3-yard line. On 1st and goal, Al Brown finds a nice hole through right tackle to land on the 1-yard line. Then on 2nd and goal, quarterback Jack Hill tunnels through right guard for 6 points. A 5-yard penalty before the PAT snap moves the ball back to the 8 from where Jack Hill's kick is no good, and the scoreboard reads Massillon 14, Latin 6. The kickoff is taken by number 84, Ian Marino, at the 16, and 14.5 yards later he runs into Al Brown and Dick Shine just beyond the 30. The 10th series for Latin starts with a pitch out to Nizer, and he gets around his left end before Irvin Crable knocks him off balance and he falls out of bounds at the 50, a gain of 19.5 yards. Nizer takes another pitch out, this time to the right, but can only get about 3.5 yards this time. Film of 2 plays is missing as we next see fullback number 75 Tom Marco bowl his way from the 34 to the Tigers' 29. On third down, number 66, John Wise, drops straight back for a pass to his right end, Bob Lambert, number 55, but it ends up in the end zone where Crable was nice enough to pick it up for the referee. Wise is hit as he tries to get another pass off on fourth down, and the ball sails sideways to the ground. The second-string offense takes over on the Tigers' ninth series as right half Dick Shine, number 10, only gets 1 yard around his left end on the first play. Then left half Eddie Bush, number 16, gets 6.5 yards up the middle, and Dick Shine another 1.5 yards through right guard. That makes it 4th and 1, so the Tigers decide to punt. Gerald Mullen, number 88, takes the 34-yard kick at his 28 and heads for the east sidelines. A good block and a broken tackle gets him a 12-yard return to the Latin 40. Latin's 11th series starts with good field position as Neeser takes a pitch out, then quickly turns upfield where Ray Lane, number 24, makes a solo tackle at the 44. It's 2nd and 6, and a pitch out is given to Gerald Mullen, number 88, but the speed of number 10, Dick Shine, holds Mullen to a 3-yard gain. On 3rd and 3, Tom Markle takes another pitch back and cuts upfield. A shoestring tackle by lineman Dick DeWalt, number 20, stops him 2 yards over the 50, but the 5-yard run gets a first down. Tom Markle takes another pitch out with a wall of Tigers ready to meet him along the east sideline, but Dick Shine grabs his legs first as other Tigers pile on. With the defense looking for more pitch-out end runs, someone forgot to keep an eye on the left end, Robert Jarzemba, number 52. He streaks straight downfield on 2nd and 6 to take a 21-yard pass from John Wise and runs 23 yards to TD land with defenders only at a shouting distance. John Wise kicks the PAT, and the scoreboard reads Massillon 44, Catherdral Latin 13. The 47-yard kickoff is taken at the 13 by what looks like Eddie Bush, number 16, and returned 24 yards to the Tigers' 37. From there, fullback Ray Lane, number 24, takes a pitch out from number 14, Don James, and gets 8 yards around his right end as the third quarter ends. On 2nd and 2, Don James throws incomplete to number 25, right end Don Studer. On 3rd and 2, Dick Shine, number 10, gets a first down at the 50. Ray Lane, number 24, takes a pitchback but can't get around his left end and loses 1 yard. Fullback Ray Lane tries again, but poor blocking stops him at the line for no gain. Perhaps a double reverse will fool him. James to Shine to Bush, but it gets a loss of 14 yards back to the Tigers' 35. That makes it 4th and a very long 25, so it's time to punt. A 20-yard kick puts the ball at the Latin 45, where a huge crowd gathers to watch it roll dead. The pile of players at the Latin 40 must mean they lost 5 yards on the first play of their 12th series. With 2nd and 15, Mullen goes in motion. Number 37, Bill Paul, prepares to blitz and does so to hit Wise as he tries to pass. The official also moves upfield, blowing his arm whistle as he spots a penalty on Cathedral Latin. On 3rd and 28, Don Studer, number 25, helps Neeser fumble a poor handoff, but Bill Paul, number 37, gets the ball as the Tigers take over at the Latin 23, but we miss the start of what looks like an incomplete pass into the end zone. Left end Don Slicker is clearly in motion before the snap as Don James gets sacked back at the 34.5, but the penalty must have been declined because on the end run by Eddie Bush to the 32, we can see the sideline marker indicating 2nd down, which says there must have been some type of infraction on the incomplete pass during the first down play. On 3rd down, left halfback Eddie Bush heads downfield for a pass, but it sails over his head at the 12. On 4th down, split end number 33, Ben Roderick, leaps high for a pass at the 14, but the ball bounces off his left hand, and so Latin takes over to start their 13th series of the game at the 32. Neeser takes a pitch out from Wise, but is only able to get about a half yard around his right end on the first play. On 2nd and about 9, Wise tries to hit his left end, Jarzemba, number 52, with a pass up the middle, but he overthrows him. On 3rd down, Wise keeps looking for a receiver as he drops back, but no one blocks number 25, Don Studer, and he drops Wise for a loss of 14.5 yards. It's 4th and 24 at the Latin 18 as Wise gets off a 39-yard punt to Don James, and he runs from his 43 to their 43, a distance of 14 yards. Jack Hill returns at quarterback, to start the Tigers' 12th series and throws an incomplete pass to his fullback, Al Brown. On 2nd and 10, Irvin Crable goes in motion, cut sharply downfield, but Hill fails to connect on a hurried pass attempt to his right halfback, Clarence Johnson. On 3rd and 10, Hill drops back and does a nifty turnaround jump pass to his left end, Ben Roderick. Ben gets to the east sideline and breaks a tackle at the Latin 47 and continues downfield to the 35, the 25, the 15, the 10, the 5, and touchdown. But the officials think that good block by Jim Reichenball, number 47, at the 20 was clipping. So they talk it over and step off a 15-yard penalty from the 19 back to the Latin 34. It should be 1st and 15 from there, with still time to get another score. And if Bob Maruna, number 34, doesn't make a nice solo tackle on this delayed handoff to Al Brown, there might have been one. However, that short 2-yard gain is followed by a pitch out to Mr. Brown, who sweeps around end, breaks a leg tackle, and continues on till Ron Trumbo, number 59, stops him after a 15-yard gain. With 1st and 10 at the 17, Jack Hill sets the offense, then drops back into shotgun formation and throws an incomplete pass to left end Ben Roderick, number 33, at the 13. On the 2nd down run by Johnson, the ref spots a penalty at the 13 as the cameraman runs out of film, but he reloads just in time to catch the 15-yard walk back to the 28 that makes it 2nd and 21. And end run play is now tried with a pitch-out pass to Crable back at the 35, from where he runs 10 yards upfield to get a 3-yard gain. It's 3rd and 18 now, and Clarence takes another pitch out and fights through 2 tacklers before Mullen, number 88, pulls him out of bounds at the 12. Sophomore Crable, number 28, uses his speed around right end on 4th and 5 till John Pinto, number 31, shoves him out of bounds at the 6. The 6-yard run makes it 1st and goal at the Latin 6, but on a quick lateral pass from Hill, Crable has a tougher time around the other end, and the left halfback gets caught for a 1-yard loss. On 2nd and goal, Johnson goes in motion, but Crable shouldn't. And so this nice TD run on a pitch back to Al Brown is negated, and the ball moved back to the 12-yard line. It's still 2nd and goal as Hill drops back to pass, but doesn't see anyone open, so takes off on an end run and tries a jump pass to someone in the end zone, where it gets bounced around before falling incomplete. On 3rd and goal, Don James gives Al Brown a delayed handoff up the middle for a gain of 3 to the 9-yard line. On 4th and goal, James drops back into shotgun formation, sends Crable in motion, but a hurried pass to Brown is knocked down by a leaping Bob Jarzemba, number 52, and Latin takes over on downs. The officials place the ball on the 10 as John Wise looks over the defense before stepping under center. Number 77, John Jasko, goes in motion. Wise fakes a handoff, then hits left end Charles Puka with a pass at the 25 where he drags Don James another 3 yards for an 18-yard gain. The second play of Latin's 14th series starts with Mullen, number 88, in motion as Joe Jones, number 43, streaks in to sack Wise for a loss of about 7 1/2 yards. Now it's 2nd and about 18 with the ball just over the 20 and enough time for one more play. Jasko goes in motion, then Wise drops back as if to pass, but then takes off up the middle where a host of Tigers stop him at the 33, a gain of 13 yards. The ref fires his gun and the scoreboard shows the final score. The Massillon Tigers 44, the Cleveland Catherdral Latin Lions 13. The Lions entered this 1948 season as defending Cleveland City champions for 5 consecutive years when they defeated Cleveland Rhodes 12-0 in the annual charity game on Saturday, November 22nd, 1947, before 57,329 fans at Municipal Stadium on the lakefront side of downtown Cleveland. The Lions ended their 9-game 1948 season with only one other setback, a 15-0 loss to Cleveland Benedictine. That loss put Benedictine in the charity game where they beat Cleveland South 7-0 for the city championship. Latin, however, captured 2nd place in their East Senate race, and the Massillon Tigers went on to be voted state champions of Ohio.